Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for our weekly show number 24. I guess if my maths are correct, that means it's more like a bi-weekly show, but it's not my fault that the Grand Tours are way too long. Otherwise, I'd do it every Monday if I had my way. This is brought to you by Joint Cycling. As always, we've got a cool event coming up on Thursday, so stay tuned for more news about that. But today we'll be getting into Oier Lazkano in depth about his provisional suspension that was released by the UCI last week. Jayco-AlUla's situation has fortunately been resolved regarding their WorldTour application, apparently, so that's really good news for the Australian team. We got news about La Vuelta Grand Départ, Gran Salida rather, and we also have some miscellaneous transfers and some news that Benji wants to get into at the end. And also maybe some bluffing by Tim Wellens, or maybe it's November truth. We'll see about Tadej Pogačar. So,
Pogačar.
How are you? Teddy Pikachu. Nah, Pikachu's Pikachu. What have you been up to, Benji?
What have I been up to? That's a very good question. I have no memory of my last week. Now, on a serious note, I've been trying to focus on my own fitness on the bicycle. So that's my winter mission. I hope to lose a little bit of weight and be better on the bike. And well, we'll get into that later with the joint cycling stuff, but I don't want to pre-plug the plug too much, but
I feel like you're trying to pretend like you're in Severance. And when you sit down at that desk and the pod starts, you're like, it's like in Severance. And
it's the case. Like cycling life and then personal life. There's like a line in between that I just can't breach. I just don't remember what I did in the last week. Or I just didn't do anything. That's also very possible.
I had some nightmare travel. I'm feeling better now than I did on the weekend.
I had nightmares in the last week. Like serious ones. I'm telling you, I woke up screaming. For some reason last week, really? I had an entire night where I thought I was Adam Yates. The worst experience of my life. Genuinely.
Dude, that's like a dream come true.
What do you mean that's a dream come true?
Green Mountain? Win Tour of Oman?
Nah, I'm not having this shit. And then I was in the team of UAE and then I wasn't selected, so I was very unhappy. Ay.
Oh, so you
didn't even know what I did wrong.
I've been watching the TV show from the 90s, Northern Exposure, which I've been enjoying greatly.
I'm happy for you.
A doctor relocates to Alaska. I enjoy it. Anyway, I have nightmares about animals chasing me. There's always animals chasing me in my nightmares. Speaking of nightmares, Oier Lazkano, when he received this news, maybe he got a heads up, but there was the bombshell from the UCI media on 30 October, mid last week. I'll read verbatim from the press release. UCI statement on Oier Lazkano Lopez. The Union Ciclista Internacional announces that Spanish rider Oier Lazkano Lopez has been provisionally suspended in accordance with the UCI anti-doping rules due to unexplained, keyword, abnormalities in his athlete biological passport in 2022, 2023, and 2024. The UCI will not comment further while the proceedings are ongoing. I won't read the rest about the ABP. Not a surprise, actually, that this was released, Benji, because where has Oier Lazkano been?
That's a very good question. Since Paris-Roubaix, he has not raced. Next to that, it was really weird throughout the season that he deleted his social media footprint. At first, I thought maybe he's struggling mentally with something and social media was a big problem. So you try to look at those potential causes for something like that happening. But in hindsight, it's a very logical reason for all that to happen after Paris-Roubaix. But it's also pretty sad. So news like this doesn't make me happy about the sport of pro cycling, of course. Now, Lazkano had a reaction on Eurosport a couple days later, and basically, I'll read it verbatim as well. I want to make it absolutely clear that I have absolutely not used doping or any other prohibited substances or methods. My career has been built on hard daily work, dedication, and honesty. I'm a clean athlete and a person of integrity. I will defend my reputation and do everything necessary to demonstrate my complete innocence and prove that I'm not involved in any illegal practices. Now, words are easy in a situation like this from an athlete. It's whether he can prove it, because that process has already somewhat passed a little bit. Because I want to deep dive into the biological passport here, Patrick, because quite a few people listening to this podcast might think, okay, biological passport, does this mean he tested positive for doping in a doping test? Not really. So a biological passport for a cyclist is basically some kind of diary of your blood values. When someone becomes a pro cyclist, their default standard blood values are logged in their biological passport. And throughout their career, if their blood values are suddenly abnormal relative to their default values, it triggers some kind of red flag in the system. That system is called Adams, but I won't deep dive into that, I'm pretty sure. Now, what happens, Patrick, if there's a case of abnormal values? First of all, there's this unit at the UCI called the APMU, the Athlete Passport Management Unit. Sounds very extreme. They validate whether the sample was done correctly, etc., after which it is reviewed by experts. First by a single expert who judges whether the blood values, the abnormal ones, are normal.
Just a clarification there.
Go ahead.
Clarification there. The APMU is not under the UCI.
Okay.
I think the ITA, the International Testing Agency, is delegated authority to do testing for cycling. It was previously something with C.
Okay.
CADF, maybe. Then the APMU is associated with WADA.
Okay.
And so just to clarify, so it's ITA APMU, which is independent of the UCI. But continue.
And talking about independence, we're speaking about these experts then. So after the APMU validates a sample, that blood value sample, whatever it is reviewed by first a single expert who judges whether that is normal values, suspicious values, likely a medical condition leading to these values, or likely doping. Those are the 4 categories I could find in my research this morning. If suspicious, the rider apparently will get tested more. If likely doping, this case is sent to a board of 3 experts, independent ones. So that's also important to include. Those experts also don't know which rider is involved, etc. They're doing this blind, just they see the blood values. They review those values, and they need to unanimously agree that the rider is likely doping with no plausible natural explanation. So if that is the case, if the unanimously agreeing is happening, then the APMU declares an adverse passport finding, which is what in this case would have initially happened with Lazkano. Then the rider is notified of the APF. They've got around 10 to 20 days to submit an explanation for their abnormal values, like illness or legal treatment, or I don't know what else could potentially lead to that. And then there's one more review by that board of experts, I think. And then the outcome in this case with Lazkano, I assume, must have been that his explanation wasn't good enough. Because now it's public. Is this whole process the reason why we haven't heard anything about it for so long?
Yeah, there was a long article, I think, by Carlos Arriba about the timeline of this, and in that article, which Luke will drag up and maybe put in the show notes, the Lazkano was notified after Roubaix. His home was, they came to his home, the authorities in Andorra, not the Andorran authorities, but the testing or anti-doping authorities came to his home in Andorra, according to this article, and took his phone, laptop. So then he became aware then, and then presumably the time to give his plausible explanation for the values was after then. So that's why then he's told the team, or the team's become aware, and so they haven't raced him while this is going on. And then the process has gone on for ages. Because maybe because it's 20 days, a short period of time, then the rider or the athlete often will say, hey, I need further time to get my own experts to explain this, yada, yada, yada. They've obviously not accepted his explanation of the values. Yeah. And then now it's come out. I think Broe has fired him.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. Was it on the website, Twitter, Instagram?
Don't know where the official statement was, but I read that somewhere. So it's not like the super official
Trying to
confirmation.
find
But
Bora news is like finding a needle in a haystack, honest to God.
I expected when Red Bull showed up and was part of the team that the media of the team would be so much better. I swear it's still the same old thing. But on topic here, what confuses me about the process more is the fact that we're talking about 2022, 2023, and 2024 having abnormalities. Now, those are the years where he rode for Movistar, not Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, but it's important to ask the question here. I don't understand if the abnormal values are in 22, 23, and 24. I assume they are comparing to default values that came before that and not after that. And if that's the case, then why did it take 3 years of abnormal values to get to this conclusion?
So this is, and if you really want to get into the legalese and the difficulty of this question, I suggest you read the judgment of the when it went to CAS or the UCI Anti-Doping Tribunal, the judgments with Rob Stannard, because he took it all away. He fought his biopassport case, and that's the most recent one of a World Tour level rider. And therein is that case really caused problems, I think, for strict enforcement of the ABP, because you're talking about set a baseline. So what if the athlete, the first couple of tests are the ones where they're doping, and then you don't have a baseline yet, and then the ABP is not a smoking gun. It is not a positive test. So you want to be sure. And so then you want a longer, and listen, these riders are not doing a test every week. I mean, Stannard, his samples were 4 in 2018. Then he got tested a lot more in 2019, but still, we're talking under 10 tests. We're not talking weekly tests. And
I think the average was 8 per year, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and there's target testing when riders are on the radar after surprising results now, which is good. But you then want to see a longer amount of a larger sample of tests, so your margin of error on this inexplicable sample, so you're more confident that, okay, this is not in line with their baseline. The problem with that is, because that's all very logical, the problem with that is the decision in the case of Stannard said you waited so long to act on the 2018 sample that he's having a retrospective suspension, and you should have acted as soon as that sample was flagged. And that's why Rob Stannard didn't really get a long suspension, because the 4 years, which is what is standard, was done retrospectively. So that really puts the testing authorities in a bind where dodgy sample, but not a lot of samples. Do you act? Because if you don't, then the actual suspension down the line might not be long enough, which in the case of Stannard, it wasn't.
So with Lazkano, you've got 2022, 2023, 2024. In this case, there's also one in 2024, according to that. What I'm reading here, an adverse abnormality, whatever you call it. That would mean that we don't have the same exact situation as Stannard, right? Where there is more recent.
Yeah, Stannard did have some samples they tried to go after him for, which I think the samples got thrown out for various reasons or technicalities, later samples. I mean, and this, again, Lazkano has the right to appeal this, take it to CAS,
but
whatever. But yeah, you're right. Why? You're saying why not after the 2022 sample, Benji?
Yes, and you perhaps explain it. Maybe that was his standard level at that time, and then when he went to Bora, when, let's be honest about it, his results got significantly worse, then they realized, oh, his level right now is significantly lower than his blood values right now are significantly different, that's how I should say it, to his blood values in 22 to 24. So they could have potentially compared it to 2025 instead. Is that a possibility?
I guess that could be possible. And yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, yeah, to me, but he was, as Luke says, he was already a professional in 2020 and 2021.
At Caja.
Now, how often is he getting tested as a very average neo-pro on Caja? 1 year in COVID and then 1 year where he's like, well, actually, he came good. He was like, Lazkano was a bad rider. Like, he was a bad rider. And then he did the Vuelta, and then Luxembourg, he was suddenly good.
Yeah.
In September 21. He was like, they're hard stages, and he was suddenly good. And we're talking a rider who's normally like gruppetto up to that point. So, I don't know. We'll see. He's maintaining his innocence, which then suggests he's going to fight it.
Can I be skeptical for a second about the biological passport? Because we're speaking about the order of things when it comes to the default values. Hypothetically, I'm ambitious and I want to become a pro cyclist next year, which means I sign for a team, and in doing so, I enter the registered testing pool. If I am doping before I enter the registered testing pool, and my standard values going into next year then are doped, can't you just dope your entire career at that same level and not have abnormal values your entire career?
Nah, I don't know exactly, but no, there are also limits where it's like, this is not possible for a person. And like you've seen in some of the runners, it's just like they're taking the piss, and it's like 135 off score.
Yeah.
And they get done on the first sample because, so no, but I don't, that being said, then yeah, I don't know. It's a statistical model. It's like a mathematical model of like probability. So to get done, it has to be a massive outlier. If you're like in the 20th percentile for some scores, you're not. It's really outliers where it's inexplicable, because as I said, there's no smoking gun, and so it really has to be out there where you're like, this is an inexplicable value from the fact that you had a gastrovirus that week.
And the only way to do a biological passport report is for it to be significantly adverse. Otherwise, you're going to have so many false positives to the point that the whole system is going to have 90%.
Well, you just won't win in court when you're prosecuting.
I have no clue what sentence you. Oh, you just won't win in court, is what you said, right?
You just won't win if it's like, if there's too big a margin of error. But Lazkano, it's probably what the rider on the most money who's got done recently.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Lopez was already, what's the word? He was ghost banned, right? Like no Euro team signed him.
Oh, I don't remember.
He was on the Colombian team when he got done, right?
Officially, perhaps, yes.
Yeah. But this is the rider who's had like probably the best results recently on a big contract for the next 3 years that's got done.
Quintana's different, you know?
Well, he's got the money. He has the money and incentive to fight this because he's got 7 figures on the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, as we all know, in 2023, Lazkano started performing in Dwars door Vlaanderen when he was in the breakaway.
With Christoph. Right?
Yeah, with Alexander Christoph. And then he won Spanish Natty Champs maybe not the Natty Champs, in 2023.
Maybe not the Natty Champs.
And then in 2024, he was very, very good in the classics again. He won Jaén. He was in the break with Wellens and Van Aert in Kuurne, or not the break, they attacked.
So I want to talk about
an elite rider. Or then Dauphiné, he was like, Dauphiné he came 9th in GC as a 75 kilo rider.
He was attacking Roglic on the mountains at the Dauphiné last year. But I do want to bring this to a different topic. Like, we've discussed the intricacies of the case, and what's next is, I don't really know. I just expect Lazkano to fight it, which is what he said in that statement. And we'll hear about it at some point in the future, I expect. But I want to bring it to some UCI points analysis, because for some reason, when this happened, my immediate thought process was, can a positive test or an adverse analytical finding or anything doping related, if a rider loses their results, which I don't know is the case here, Do they
he
also
loses GC and one day results.
Do they also lose their UCI points? And if so, does that change the UCI points of the riders below them? Because you're saying no with your head, but hypothetically, if Lazkano finished above Cofidis riders in 10 races and Cofidis missed out on UCI points multiple times, then the whole relegation battle could have been impacted by the fact that Lazkano was riding with a potential
Benji.
PEDs.
Arkea got promoted from Quintana's Tramadol points.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. But
so that's the problem with promotion and relegation. You can't what happens now if one rider from the teams that are on the cusp gets suspended? You can't undo the licenses.
Is there, very wild thought, is there a better way to hold teams accountable for doing better internal testing, or is that not possible? Could Movistar have figured this out? Could Bora have figured this out? I don't know, because I don't know the internal process of a team, whether they have access to... I assume they don't have access to biological passport.
It depends. I think asking teams to do internal testing is a bit of a slippery slope, actually. So that could have some negative unintended consequences.
How? So, I don't understand.
Well, you then have doctors testing, like, if the riders are within limits.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now I see.
I'm not sure that should be
valid.
Necessarily encouraged. But it's not like from the former Caja setup there's no smoke without fire. I mean, the Minar case, AlUla leaving the Vuelta, like there was also Vinicius Rangel, the former Movistar rider, he just got done.
He got done for three whereabouts failures?
Three whereabouts failures, yeah.
I spoke about the Atom system a little bit. I mentioned it in one sentence earlier. The Atom system is basically this platform, I assume, where riders have to keep track of their whereabouts to make sure that the, I assume, ITA can test them wherever they are. Is that a good explanation? Because
you got to give a 1 hour. You got to give a 1 hour slot every day where you are, so you can be tested in your window.
So he missed out 3 times, which leads to trouble. And I don't know whether that included moments at Movistar or whether that only included 3 times at his new team, Swift Pro Cycling. Because if that also includes Movistar, then there's going to be people discussing the factor of Movistar in both these events, which I don't know if that's fair or unfair to be discussed.
Well, but also, and to your point about how to incentivize teams to manage this properly, there's very strict rules if you have multiple riders testing positive. And I think if you have 2 riders with a doping sanction within a 12-month period, you get a 3-month team-wide ban?
But
didn't that just get handed down to a Conti team?
Nippo Vini Fantini, I think, back in the day?
Back in the day happened to Nippo, Vini Fantini.
But is this a potential situation like that if both Rangel and Lazkano have some kind of stuff dating back to their Movistar days? Or is that not the same here? Is whereabouts failure the same?
It depends on the dates.
I don't know.
What date do they pick for the Lazkano one? Because it seems like a broad period of time. So I can't...
Well, it is 3 years of Movistar, of course. So that's the one element. Rangel is the difficult one for me. Because there he's been on 2 teams in the last year. So I don't know whether the whereabouts failures were at Movistar or at Swift Pro Cycling.
Oh, let me check.
I don't know if it's publicly known, but I'll let you search while I use my vocal cords to make the people enjoy the voice. I was going to say of cycling, but I swear that's someone else's
say.
point.
Like you said, it doesn't say. It just says, the UCI media release says, Vinicius Rangel Costa has been sanctioned with a 20-month period of ineligibility following 3 whereabouts failures in a 12-month period. It doesn't say exactly when they are. It says his suspension is 27 August to 26 April 2027.
Is a whereabouts failure the same as a positive doping test or an adverse analytical finding for that rule of 2 cases within a certain period to lead to a suspension of a team? I don't know either.
I think so. It's an anti-doping rule violation.
Okay, I don't have the overview, so I generally don't know.
But you could look at this two ways. The Lazkano, my final word on the Lazkano thing.
Yeah.
I see it quite positive that the system goes after a rider with multiple seven figures on the line with big results, and that happens, and that process is happening. Now, we don't know. Maybe he fights it. Maybe he wins. It's possible. We don't know yet. He says he's innocent. We'll see if he puts his money where his mouth is in court. On the other hand, you can say 22, 23, 24, massive results, like changing, climbing with Roglic in the Dauphiné at his weight, and it took a long time, and he didn't test positive for anything.
Yep.
And that's the flip side. It's like, is that, a cause for concern that he didn't test positive for anything? Although, I guess it shows the necessity of the ABP.
It does, but also, if I'm really honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the most overconfident in like the testing of the sport of cycling. I know that it is probably second or first most tested sport in the world, maybe after athletics. Is that fair to say?
Per capita, cycling has a lot of testing, yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily equal that it's fully clean. I believe that cycling will never be fully clean because there's always someone that tries to cheat the system in sports. I just naively hope that the impact is as low as possible.
If you want to read more about the overall testing, like how it really happens, Raul wrote an interesting article on lanternerouge.com back when WADA released a report. Oh, let me find it for you. And he went into like the whole data. So the question that Benji just asked, like how often does testing happen compared to other sports? That's on lanternerouge.com. We'll link it down below. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Lazkano, and what I assume he'll file an appeal based on what he said.
If he does, will we have the same in-depth report afterwards that Rob Stannard had coming out of the case?
If he takes it to CAS, then they'll release a judgment.
Okay, because that was interesting to read actually.
But there's also the UCI arbitral. So the Rob Stannard. Yes. So the Rob Stannard, there's the UCI Anti-Doping Tribunal judgment, which was dated 3 June 2024. And then there was the CAS one. Okay.
So the CAS is like the appeal one, right?
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. If you're like, I don't agree with the decision of the UCI thingy, I'll go to CAS to try and overthrow it. Is that correct?
Oh, no. He renounced. He didn't appeal his doping suspension to CAS.
Rob Stannard?
No.
Okay.
I don't think.
I'm so confused about.
Oh, yeah, I got to recheck it. But it got the UCI. Let me check. It's like a 46-page judgment.
Well, we probably shouldn't read it on today's podcast, otherwise it's going to be a 3
hour podcast. Yeah, he didn't go to CAS. He didn't go to CAS because it was the UCI. UCI Anti-Doping Tribunal that gave him the backdated suspension. So he had no need to appeal it because by the time the judgment came down, his provisional suspension was over.
Yeah. Is there a way retroactive suspensions could be like, because like hypothetically, if I've got a retroactive suspension from 2021, for example, and I lose my results of the last 4 years, but I can just keep cycling, like, what penalty do I really have?
Stannard just signed with Bahrain.
I just lost my second place in my Zwift race last week. Oh no!
As long as there's a team that will sign you, then.
Talking about racing on Zwift, the segue of a lifetime.
We've got a race coming.
From doping to join cycling.
We've got a race coming this Thursday. Another one in the Join Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast Zwift Indoor Series, but this one's a bit different. It's at 8 o'clock. The race starts. We're doing the Innsbruck course, so a bit mountainous. Half an hour beforehand, Benji and I are doing a Q&A. It's a Discord Q&A through the stage, like the stage thing. So It'll be really well set up. You go to the link down below.
On Discord, right?
On Discord. The Q&A is on Discord. Half an hour before the race kicks off, you go, click the link down below to access that channel, and that will kick off at 19:30 for your Europeans. That's 6:30 p.m. for those of you in the UK. And we'll be answering all your questions that you have. Any questions, you can just type them in, and we'll try to get through as many as possible in the half an hour before the race starts. We'll obviously be speaking, Benji and I, not typing. And then, we'll warm up doing that, and then the race will kick off at 8 o'clock. So there's also some cool prizes on offer during the race if you manage to beat me or Benji. So, looking forward to seeing you there on Thursday.
I think beating you will be more difficult than beating me on the Innsbruck course because it's mountainous as fuck.
They won't beat me. So, I mean, you can come, but you're not going to get a prize.
That's a challenge if I've ever seen one. So if you're listening, if you're watching, come to us. Come at 7:30 in Discord for the Q&A, European time, 8 for the race, and let's cook each other on the bike.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Okay, the next line item we have in the news is regarding Jayco-AlUla. So as you know, on October 15th, both the men and women's team under the Green Edge banner did not submit all of the essential documents for their World Tour application. So then on October 20th, the UCI published the list of teams that had and had not, well, by omission, had not submitted the essential documents. Jayco were not on that list, nor were Intermarche. This meant that technically the riders could move to other teams under the UCI rules, despite having a contract. That didn't happen, from what we understand. And clearly, it was the financial guarantees that had not been finalized. And so I think they have two principal partners, principal financial backers, Jerry and AlUla, and both probably have to submit some form of guarantees. That didn't happen in time. And apparently they have done it now.
Wait. Question. Out of curiosity, how does the populace of Australia look at quote unquote rich people like Jerry Ryan? Is he loved? Is he a personality on TV or something? Because in Belgium, if you're rich, there's an actual chance that you're actually like a TV personality.
Jerry Ryan's not like, he's not like the Donald Trump of Australia.
Yeah, okay. The Marcoeke of Belgium. He nearly hit me with his old timer back in the day on a side street in Gistel. Never forget.
Jerry Ryan is kind of, I don't think he's a billionaire, technically, but he's been involved in sports and like local Australian and supporting Australian sport for a long, long time, and cycling for a long, long time. So I'd say he's viewed pretty positively in Australia, in Australian cycling. Like he's bankrolled that team for over a decade and more things than that beforehand. So yeah, he's got like accolades from the government, loads of accolades from the government for that. He's in the Australian Sports Hall of Fame, etc., etc. And then but he's got AlUla as a co-financial partner in the team now, I guess. According to Daniel Benson, there was an interview with Brent Copeland, who it's kind of curious interview because he like simultaneously was trying to give the impression that it was all under control, whilst also saying, we were 3 days away from not having a team anymore. So I was like, it's a very strange interview. I personally wouldn't have given it.
In two areas. That was both the case when it comes to the team and also when it comes to sprinters on the team, because there was another quote in that article to Benson. It was pointless to pay 1 to 1.5 million euros on sprinters that aren't going to bring in guaranteed UCI points. We took the decision to not invest in sprinters. That saves you around 2 to 3 million in its own if you take out top sprinters. And we decided to go after riders who can realistically get us points races in that we target. Now, at that same time, I was reading Daniel Benson articles as well, and there was a rumor that Akkerman was joining Jayco. So those words are a slight bit counterintuitive. Then again, I don't know. I don't see the value in signing Akkerman. Isn't he like geriatric at this point?
He has 933 UCI points.
Really? I take my word. 355, no?
Oh, my thing went to 2024. Yeah, 355, and he raced 45 race days. So good luck. I think
you do need a sprinter. So yes, I agree with that.
Emmanuel Huku.
Just not a 1.5 million one.
Yeah,
right?
there's young ones that exist. Kockelman, if he was available. Huku. There's loads of young sprinters, and then they cost like 80 grand, 100.
Just watch every 1.1 race on the calendar and look for like someone that top 10s it.
Yeah, Kubish. Yeah. I don't think Kubish was on 700k in his first year at the Rockets.
I don't think so. I think he's still not on 700k in his second year at the Rockets.
So, yeah, that was kind of... But anyway, back to more the team. The good news is that apparently there's contracts, according to Brent Copeland, until the end of 2028, so for the next full 3-year cycle. It wasn't an issue of the duration of the contracts. It was more about getting everything signed and the deadlines we faced. So that was an exclusive interview in Daniel Benson's Substack. So that's really good news for Australian cycling, that the Jayco team is going to be around and funded at least for the next 3 years. So that's really good news.
Exactly. I'll go to some other worse news for a second. We had the bad news that the Herald Sun Tour died a couple of weeks ago, which brought you very big sadness. Now, I was also very sad when I looked at social media in the last 2 weeks, because the 4th Grand Tour, the Tour of Southland, a race in New Zealand, has been cancelled. And that race has a special place in my heart because there's this one team in that race. I think it's called MitoQ, New Zealand Cycling Project or something. And they always rock up every year in like an animal-inspired cycling kit. So they've done a race in like a tiger kit, in a snake kit, in a zebra kit. And it's something I look forward to every off-season. So I'm very sad that that is not happening this year. But I also bring some good news. Bit of an under-the-radar story. There's a rider on Illes Balears, which is a Spanish continental team. Gonzalo Ariño. I met him in the Tour of Istanbul last year. Very nice guy. And he ended up being diagnosed, I think, in April with a brain tumor. And I just wanted to bring the good news that that legend beat it. So he's over it. And it when I see stuff like this, it reminds me of just in general, I'm inspired by his resilience, you know? Because these are challenges that I'm not going through. Am I being cringe or am I being...
No, I agree with you. I mean, like, also to be a high-level athlete while doing that, it's... Yeah, stories like him, Torsten Train, it's inspiring stuff. So, shout out to him. And...
Talking about life-threatening injuries, Tadej Pogačar. Tim Wellens had an update on his knee injury from Tadej Pogačar at the Tour de France 2025, because there were some articles, I think, was it HLN?
Well, I think Wellens has been in Singapore for the Criterium, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so they do like interviews there.
Okay. And during one of those interviews, Wellens basically said that Pogačar was actually pretty close to finding the exit at the Tour de France in the third week. And that they were surprised that it didn't leak because Pogačar apparently went to a public hospital to get it checked, which I was kind of surprised by that. But does this mean that Visma Leasebike should post scouts at every hospital during the third week of every Tour de France from now on?
But what would have changed? I mean...
Not sure anything would have changed.
Still attacked on the Madeleine. He still followed.
Well... If you're injured, Patrick, and if you're Tadej Pogačar, hypothetically, at the Tour de France 2025, would you feel more pressure if the news of your injury was public or private?
Probably feel a bit more pressure. If you knew that they knew and they were going to attack you because they knew, maybe. But I mean, Vingegaard attacked him every day until La Plan, where nothing happened, and it was on La Plan where he looked. On La Plan, he looked, on Champs-Élysées, he was good. So, but on La Plan, he did look puffy. Like Wellens said, he gained a lot of weight, which is like a reaction to being injured, or I think, maybe this was like a 1 week after effect from the crash in Toulouse. And it did look like that.
Yeah.
But in the end, it did. I mean, Pogačar was still the strongest on La Plan.
Yeah.
He paced the whole climb. So.
Damon, Luke is already in chat very angry about your words against Damon Arensman now. But
no offense to Timon Arensman, but I think Pogačar was still the strongest on La Plan. Yeah.
Can't believe you just said that.
Was
that the stage where Lipovitz almost crashed on like a zebra path? What do you call that in English? A crossing?
Zebra crossing.
Zebra path.
Speaking of Borhansgrohe and Roglic in the Vuelta, segue to La Vuelta 2026. So the Gran Salida will be in Monaco. Apparently, it will be a 10K individual time trial starting at Place du Casino and finishing on the Formula One Grand Prix circuit. So I guess that'd be pretty cool. Pogačar, I mean, they're desperate for Pogačar to start.
Yeah, he will. I'm telling you.
You think he will next year?
Yeah. It's getting time. By the way.
Yeah, I think he will.
Question time. How old is Tadej Pogačar these days?
Not old enough.
How many years until
27?
Jesus. How many years until he's washed, hypothetically?
He's 27.
Or
there you go.
How many years until he starts dipping down? 2.5, 3? Hypothetically.
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
No, I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
How many years he has left to try the triple Grand Tour victory? At some point he has to, right?
He won't do that. He finished the tour fucked. He's not done 2 Grand Tour. Like,
he won't do it next year, but like in 3 years, has to try it once in his career, right? To be the greatest ever?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he has to do that to be the greatest ever. And I don't think that's what. Like, he doesn't have a lot of race days every year.
Yeah, because he
had 50 race days this year, and he couldn't do the Vuelta because he was cooked. So, I think it's enough to do Tour Vuelta double next year. But yeah, when do I think he declines? Usually it's like something in their personal life will happen, and they just lose motivation. It's not really the body that will go. So, we'll see. Why did Froome decline? Why did Froome decline? He had a bad crash, right?
Yeah, Froome had a bad crash during the Dauphiné Recon ITT, if I recall, in my guess is 18. That's a pure guess. No, because he didn't ride it that year. So it might be 19. Yes, I think it was 19. But also before that, he won the Giro 2018 in that crazy solo. Then in the Tour de France, he got third. I would argue that the year before 2019, he already had a year where it was slightly worse.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, who knows? It could be indefinite with Pogačar. Something could happen. Like, you just don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, he's got a contract till the end of, I think, 2030 with UAE.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know why he signed that extension. Like, I don't know what... Like, what if Pogačar had done his contracts like LeBron? You do 1 year...
I have fucking no clue what you're pointing at. I know who LeBron is. He's the guy with the beard.
Imagine Pogačar had 1 year rolling contracts. How much more he would get paid.
But then, if he gets injured this year and doesn't have legs anymore, hypothetically, then he would not earn money for the next 5. Well, he wouldn't either.
He wouldn't either because of the UCI rules.
Yeah, but what is the limited amount that the team has to pay him for the rest of his career then?
After 3 months, they can stop paying him.
Completely?
Yes.
Fuck. So that is why you keep arguing that long-term contracts are useless.
Except he can get his own insurance on that contract. So he can privately get his own insurance on that contract. It'll be a huge amount, the premium on it, because his contract's going to be exorbitant and it's a very dangerous sport. But he can get his own insurance on it, which, if he has a prudent advisor, he would have that. So that is the incentive, is that you can, through insurance, lock in that money. Then again, what would if Pogačar was a free agent for 2026, what would he get paid, Benji?
Oh. We also have to look at what other teams can afford to pay him as well, eh? Which teams have gigantic budgets?
You just have to convince. You just have to convince your billionaire backer or multi-billion company backer that you can have Pogačar.
I'm saying it lands on like 25 mil or something.
I think it's like 25. Yeah.
Would it be more because people start bidding against each other?
I mean, if you're Jim Ratcliffe, yeah, why wouldn't you pay 25?
Jim Ratcliffe would find a way to ruin Pogačar.
Because if the average budget's 28, and then let's say the top third is 40, 45, yeah, I think it's like 25. Now that's a huge risk. If he crashes, you're fucked. Because you couldn't fill out the rest of your roster probably, but yeah. But that's why for UAE it's a good deal, the long-term contract.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for UAE it's a good deal.
I think it's a solid deal for both parties, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. But that would be, LeBron when he did the 1+1s was always entertaining. I've lost what we're talking about. Oh, the Vuelta. Speaking of Grand Tours, because the Tour de France has a TTT, we're seeing some minor races changing their parcours. So one of the Mallorcan one-day races in January is having a team time trial. Now, I don't know if it will have the ASO Paris rules.
Yeah, but it's important to note that the Mallorca Challenges, that's not a stage race. I think it was in the past. It changed into 4 or 5 one-day races that follow day by day, and teams can create a roster of X amount of riders that then interchange per stage of that Mallorca, per day one-day race of that Mallorca Challenge. So how will that TTT impact their teams in the other 4 one-day races around it? Knowing that they have a set of riders, I think they have to select for all 5. That's intriguing.
Yeah, and is it going to be worth the hassle getting the TT bikes out to Mallorca? It depends, because Broe, I think, already do a camp on Mallorca. So you already do a camp, you're training there, you already have the TT bikes there that they're training on, and then you get to do a one-day race to test it all. That's like a gift come true. So that's why the organizers have done this for this race. I think it's a good initiative. Paris, we'll see. They've had a TTT for like 3 consecutive years. One would assume they'll have another TTT at Paris. Valencia sometimes had a TTT this year, whether they'll do that. But we still don't know the Giro parcours. So Benji's been hunting rumors about the Giro route.
Have I?
Yeah, you've been telling me that the Bulgarian transfers are really far.
So I'm doing this from the top of my head. I think stage 1 starts in Burgas. Sounds a lot like Burgos, but not the same. Or is rumored to start there, then goes to Veliko Tarnovo. Then the second stage starts in Veliko Tarnovo and goes to Plovdiv. And then the last stage would end in Sofia somehow. One of the 3 is rumored to be a team time trial. But the annoying part about this Grande Partenza, how do you say Grande Partenza in Bulgarian? I had to think whether it was Bulgaria for a second. I don't know. But us going to a race, hypothetically, if we go to Bulgaria, no spoilers, then it would require us to travel the entirety of Bulgaria across those 3 stages if we want to see all 3 stages. Or we could opt for the lazy option.
Goliamo Zaminavane.
Goliamo Zaminavane.
Yeah.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a dog just out and some cats outside my room. They're not mine. Guess that's okay. This just kind of distracted me. Any other news you'd like to round off on Benji? We'll be back with the Women's Awards show probably later this week. Yeah, anything else you're waiting for? I guess what we're waiting for now is the Intermarche thing to be resolved. So I think, did we mention that the Binny thing is weird, right? Don't you think?
The whole thing is weird. Like,
yeah, but
go ahead.
Well, like Binny keeps saying he's pretty sure he will leave, and yet it seems like his management is sitting with the management of Intermarche Lotto, the merged structure, having discussions all the time. It's like, but you can leave. They didn't file with the UCI the World Tour application, Intermarche.
Well,
so it kind of sounds like he wants to stay if they guarantee him stuff.
It's a difficult situation because it's similar to what I hear about Louis Barret in the new cycle in Belgium, for example, where suddenly Intermarche is asking for a transfer sum for a transfer of Louis Barret, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't really sound very logical because he's allowed to leave based on what I can read in the UCI rules, but then Intermarche, this is kind of hypocritical in the grand scheme of things, is apparently trying to use the labor laws in Belgium to try and make sure he doesn't leave because he's on a fixed contract, and fixed length contracts are different than non-fixed length contracts in the Belgian labor law, and because of that, there's apparently reasoning for Intermarche to use that labor law against him so that he can't leave without a transfer sum. It's ironic because those same teams that Intermarche is right now would call it blasphemy if a rider uses the labor law to try and leave a contract of their team. So I don't know. I've heard lots of stories about what's happening at Intermarche and at Lotto in the last few weeks. I didn't really get the go ahead to discuss every part of that story, but I hope we hear the truth behind the scenes because based on what I can tell, this is an unethical way that Intermarche is working in towards their riders. On one end, like, I'm of the opinion that Intermarche choosing on one end, making a list of riders that they want to keep, that they have on their contract.
Where's the list?
Well, I don't know if the list. Where's the list? America's been saying that for weeks, mate. For months.
The list.
What list? What list do you think?
No, I actually don't know what you mean.
A list of pedophiles in the US, bro.
Oh, Jesus.
You should have gotten the connection yourself there.
I'm not into. I don't follow the news.
What you heard here is Patrick doesn't want the list to be known, is what I hear.
I'm not on. My Twitter is like, yeah. I open my Twitter and it's Peter Alonso's opted out of his contract, and then I just shut my Twitter and just fucking shout at the wall for a bit. So that's
who's Peter Alonso?
Peter Alonso is a polar bear, lives in Alaska. But yeah, this famous list that like some riders are on the list or not for Intermarche, Lotto merged entity, like it's November 4th.
Hashtag release the list.
Well, but then that's like Brian van der Capella's been reporting on this, but yeah, like Beanie's been kind of leaking stuff. He's been speaking very candidly about it. He's like, oh yeah, the list will be published of riders to stay tomorrow, but that was on Saturday, so it's not been published. So I don't know.
Yeah, but also, it is immoral, in my opinion, that Intermarche is making a list of riders that are not allowed to leave from Intermarche, despite the UCI rules saying otherwise, that they're technically free to go because that paying agent stops, while two other riders saying, I'm sorry, guys, but you can't stay. Like,
that have a contract for 26.
Exactly. Riders who want to leave are forced to stay by Intermarche against the UCI rules, while riders who want to stay and have a career in cycling are forced out because, in the eyes of Intermarche, they're not good enough. Which, there's a role of sportive merit where the goodness of a rider, it's logical that a team conveys that in what riders they want to keep. But there's some immorality going on here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess on the other hand, like the teams are trying to save two structures that needed to combine forces.
Did they? And Hulot had an interview the other week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he said, yeah, I had a sponsor, but was it signed?
Well, we don't know, but it was supposedly announced on the second rest day, and then just before it wouldn't happen.
I don't know.
Because the Lotto CEO, as in the CEO of the lottery, Johnny Haak, said, "Yeah, it's too late, buddy."
I don't know. I mean, I think they're trying to. The idea was contract a number of Belgian teams, have a Belgian super team or like a stronger team, and if you have the best riders from both of those teams combined, you have quite an attractive commercial proposition. I can understand that, and I think that in general was a good idea. Perhaps the reality of the UCI rules is that you cannot merge two paying agents.
No,
it doesn't work under the UCI rules, and that there was always going to be one team where the riders could terminate their contract under the UCI rules.
But when Keon and so forth tried to abuse Belgian labor laws to try and force his way out of Bora back in the day, that had consequences to the UCI rules, where the UCI changed their rules accordingly. Is the UCI going to react the same now that a team is trying to abuse the labor laws to try and circumvent the UCI rules? Don't expect so.
Oh, I don't know. I think in defense of the UCI, they have the right and to give out or not give out a World Tour license to this merged entity. And so instead of hitting the lotto applicant.
Yeah.
So instead of, you're saying, are they going to use a stick against bad behavior? Maybe not. They might refuse to give the carrot until they see certain behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you also have to meet, we always talk about promotion and relegation. The sporting criterion gets applied after applicants meet ethical, administrative, financial, other criterion first when they're applying for a World Tour license. So we'll see. Apparently some second deadline has passed. And I don't know when the second UCI will release, maybe the end of this week. I think we'll have more news on this week. Hopefully it gets resolved. I think ultimately it's just really shit that, that's why it was good Jayco got it all sorted, because the worst case thing is another 25 riders without a job, another 50, 60 staff without a job on 4 November, before Christmas.
Yeah. It's a B&B Hotels case then.
Yeah, plus you got Archaea folding those riders and staff, and then whatever. It's not good at the moment for all those staff and riders. So anyway, hopefully it gets resolved for the Lotto Intermarche structure.
Okay. Come join our race.
Victor Lefebvre rumored to the Rockets. What do you think? First reaction?
Wasn't he gonna sell cheese in Japan?
No.
He cancelled his Japanese cheese adventure to sign for the Rockets.
He's going to sell YouTube clicks.
I
think it's a great idea. How else can they get a rider that talented? They have to take a risk.
Do they need him?
Yeah. Yeah.
How much is he going to cost?
Bro, what do you mean do they need him?
Do they need him? Yeah, I'm asking.
For their hill squad.
What's his best result this year?
Top 3 in Guangxi World Tour stage race.
That's his one. That's his 2. He's got 2 results this year. That and Classic VAR.
2 results is about 200% more than half their roster.
I just don't feel like Victor Lafay is the answer.
I think he's the answer to everything.
I have a
serious problem with flawed French puncheurs, so I'll admit I have a blind spot here.
No offense to Victor Lafay, but he doesn't come across as someone that lives for the sport of cycling.
He literally said I could take it or leave it. Give him one year contract minimum with a bonus if you turn up with 15 hours a week training to some races.
Right now, it looks like Titema Rockets, Unimed Rosa Rockets,
which is a French registered team.
Yeah, got access to the Tour de France through wildcard, most likely in 2026. It's 6 next year. I forgot.
They're going to the Tour.
I assume that they'll be in a solid position for the year after and the year after that as well, I don't think they need Victor Lafay for next year. Their UCI points don't even matter for next year.
Well, yeah, but they want to step. They want to improve.
Yeah, just sign something with someone next year that cares about
Man,
cycling.
I think you're overrating that team.
I think you're overrating Victor Lafay.
I'm not.
Well, I think you're overrating Victor Lafay's will to ride his bike.
I'm not. I'm
Unless
saying,
the next vlog on Unimetorosa Rockets is selling cheese in Japan, I don't think they need him.
who is the most likely rider, potential-wise, that could win a dot pro stage in Europe on their roster?
Wout Poels?
Did he sign there?
Yes.
I don't know.
So this is the issue. You missed last week's podcast.
No, I think Lafay's good.
Because, like, hypothetically,
He followed Pogačar and Vingegaard two years ago.
where's he been since? He's been.
He had some issues, okay? But if he didn't have the issues, he wouldn't be signing for the Rockets.
Mate,
If he would...
no.
But I think a team like Picnic, the Rockets, Bahrain, like...
How much do you think he's on if they want to sign him?
Yeah, that's the question. Like, what were his offers?
Hypothetically.
I really couldn't tell. Because you have to price in the fact that he might just not train.
Yeah. Minimum.
He won a Tour de France stage against fucking Pog.
I think he's asking for at least 500k.
Ooh, yeah. Then they shouldn't do it. That's way too
How much
risky.
is Nicolas Prudhomme? 500k, you'll be able to get Nicolas Prudhomme, no?
Yeah, but Nicolas Prudhomme is kind of not that useful for a Rockets team, I'd say. You need like a finisher for 4-day dot pro races like Tour of Norway.
1,000 UCI points.
Prudhomme.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, but Lafay can win the Tour of Arctic Race of Norway. What do you mean he can? He can. With his China shape, he can easily win the Arctic Race of Norway. Like, easily.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But yeah, 500k is, I would say 300. But that's him
350.
taking...
I'd be willing.
You do it for 350, Lafay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Tour de France stage kind of makes him expensive, but then on the other hand, he didn't do anything for 2 years.
How much is Pavel Bittner, you think?
Well, he's not out of contract.
At the end of next year, hypothetically. Can I get him for 500k? Would you rather have him than Lafay?
Yeah, but is Pavel Bittner going to sign at the Rockets?
I don't fucking know. Maybe if he
That's the
loses a
problem.
leg.
Why? That's the problem, though. Like, why wouldn't he sign Ineos or...
Maybe he just wants to be on a YouTube vlog, okay?
They're changing bikes to Rose bikes. They're called Unibet Rose now.
Correct. We mentioned that in the podcast 2 weeks ago when
let's
we
do
discussed the Poels transfer.
Let's do a little bet between me and you.
Oh god.
Victor Lafay pick his UCI points for 2026 and the closest wins bragging rights.
Wasn't he literally going to retire?
You can pick his points. Pick his UCI points for next year then.
0.
No. Okay.
If this is true, then it's a fucking hot take.
But that's a bad guess because if I just pick one, then if he scores more than one, I'm closest.
What if I'm confident in my pick?
Well, to win, I'm just going to pick one UCI point then.
Okay.
But I actually
what if he just goes to Japan to sell cheese? That's my game plan.
I think he scores 1,100 UCI points.
So under 500, let's say 50, I win. Above 550, you win.
550 is a bit steep.
Steep, eh?
What did he score this year?
360.
And the year before? 235. fuck, he's never scored. And then even in 23 when he only scored 800.
When he won a Tour de France stage.
Yeah. He's not the most consistent rider, is he?
No fucking shit.
Yeah, I'll stick. Oh yeah, over 550, I take it.
Okay.
All right, thanks for listening as always. And we'll if Victor Lefay signs, we'll have an emergency podcast immediately afterwards. Thanks for listening as always. Ciao, ciao, ciao.